lovely career experts to have a panel discussion that I will be moderating. So, is Mary-Esther on here? Yes, she is. Okay, perfect. Without further ado, I'm gonna give you the chance to introduce yourself, starting with Mary-Esther. Please tell us a bit about yourself and what we are expecting for this session. And then once you're done, Andrea, just go right after.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Mary-Esther Anele, and I'm currently based here in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a final year law student and also the founder of Inclusive Remote, which is a remote job resource site dedicated to ensuring that everyone everywhere, both tech and especially non-tech, get the best of remote opportunities. Aside from that, I'm a career specialist. I'm into executive coaching, remote job coaching, resume revamp, LinkedIn optimization. And yeah, I think my career forte, I would say my career mission is to ensure that I get about more hundreds of Africans into the remote workspace.
Awesome. You go, Andrea.
Love that. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea, born and bred in South Africa. I currently live in a small coastal town just outside of Cape Town. I started out as an internal recruiter and career coach, and now I work on a freelance basis, still in the tech space, helping small to medium-sized businesses with employer branding and recruitment. I'm hoping to bring you some insights today on what it looks like on the inside of recruitment, and really hoping that I can help you navigate this difficult job market at the moment and really give you some gold nuggets to help you.
Amazing. I have no doubts that that's exactly what's going to happen in this panel. So, in this panel, like landing your dream job, we're going to dive into Andrea's recruiter bag of tips and best practices, and we're going to dive into Mary-Esther's experience with personal and professional branding tips, as well as where to find no-code roles. Because, as you know, this is exactly the domain expertise that they bring to the table. So, I'm going to start with a question that is for both of you, right? In your professional opinions, how can non-coders identify but also actually seize the opportunity out there for them in the tech space? Anyone who wants to unmic first can do it. Okay, I'm going to choose Andrea.
I was about to say not everyone at the same time. So I think it's really important to get clear on what you're looking for, because that's the starting point for finding opportunities. And the way of seizing the opportunity is basically just do everything you can to convince the stakeholders of the process that you're the best fit for the role. And some ideas around that is really creating easy to write resumes, the ability to demonstrate your skills throughout the process, making it easy for them to really evaluate your skills and capabilities. And then something crucial that Joel mentioned earlier that I just want to reiterate again, because it is so important, is adding the personal touch. Really make sure that you stand out for being yourself.
Amazing. So making sure your resumes are easy to read, making sure you're very authentic, and you add your own personal spice. Thank you very much, Andrea. And to you, Mary-Esther, how do we identify and seize the day?
Thank you. So I just add to what Andrea said. I think the first step is need to explore about using your transferable skills to transition, which is a kind of very ideal step, because as a non-tech trying to transition into tech space, you need to identify what are the roles out there that I can identify to, that I can transition to. And there are lots of non-tech roles in tech space. Like there's the technical writing for writers out there. There's the marketing, tech marketing for the marketers and growth specialists out there. Then also another thing is networking and community, because there's one thing I'm very big on is like people around you. And I think something that Lai said, is a comedian, was like, the circle of your friends having to comfort of earth to you, which in career world is like a transition to be like this circle of people you surround yourself with, primary information that you're going to like, get as well. So community networking is very important. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you have like, inquiries about, what are the opportunities out there, ask questions as well. And that thing again is skill enhancement. So, when you're trying to transition, you need to upskill. There are lots of, new technologies, new tools, latest, industry knowledge. You need to ensure that you are up to date on those kind of things.
Great. And I just wanted to add to that, like a very easy way that Joel also mentioned is to try and find communities. When I was trying to make my own transition, to be honest, when I started out, I didn't know I wanted to do product marketing. And Joel can bear witness to this. I applied for like so many different things, like growth manager, some like different roles. And then I found the Product Marketing Alliance online. And honestly, my whole life changed because I got into like informational conversations with other product marketers. I got free knowledge from the communities. Like who you surround yourself with is so important, and also like the steps that you take, obviously, because we can tell you everything, but if you're not making the actual steps there, it's really hard. That's really great. Thank you so much for those responses. um so now this question goes directly to Andrea. Can you give us a brief description, right, of what exactly happens on the other side of a recruitment process? So like most of us here are candidates. We've applied to something before. You've received our applications. What happens when I send in my application? What happens on that side? Why do I get selected or why do I not get selected?
Yeah, so I think the most important part is just to take a little bit of a step back. From a business perspective, there are big risks to hiring, especially if you get it wrong. So the recruitment process really allows us to make an informed decision, which is one of the reasons why processes differ from one company to another. There are several steps. We have talent sourcing. This is obviously where you fill your pipeline with quality candidates. Recruiters find candidates in all sorts of places: job boards, social media, online platforms, and communities, as Joel also mentioned earlier. And then from referrals, the resume screening part. I think it's important to note that recruiters work on multiple roles at the same time. So when we have an easy to read resume, it's really easy for us to make the decision whether or not we're moving forward with someone in the process. In terms of interviews, there are so many different types of interviews: phone screen, technical, behavior, situational, and some processes have multiple interviewing rounds with different stakeholders. You also have the assessments that form part of the process: personality, skills, psychometric, behavioral assessments. I think there's a little bit of an uptick in the use of skills assessments, which is really good for candidates because they can really use those to stand out. And then in terms of other assessments, you have your reference checks, perhaps a criminal checks. And there I would say transparency is really key. I don't know if that answered your question.
It does, and I have some follow-up that I will ask in the next two questions, but I want us to delve into that a little bit more.
Okay.
But I'm really glad that we talked about this application process and the point of like putting in your application, because if we take a step back, we can come to Mary and have this question around: where are these jobs? Like, where am I going to find the jobs to actually put in my application before it even gets onto like Andrea's desk? This is a very big question that I keep hearing from many people. So, like, give us give us the tea, give us the tips and tricks.
Okay, that's a very, very good one. Thank you so much, Jess. So I'm going to give you like, 7 tips rather, 7 juicy teas on how to get these opportunities. So the first one is using specialized job boards. And like I mentioned before, there's Inclusively Remote, which is directly dedicated to ensuring that the opportunities are applicable to Africans. Then there is networking as well. I think I cannot overemphasize networking because when you go to all these seminars or webinars, there's some people who are recruiters, who are founders, who are hiring, I might just, mention that, oh, I'm hiring, reach out to me by email, reach out to me on my LinkedIn profile, DM me. These are ways you can also submit your application. Then there is company website. So when I was starting out with remote work, and as someone who has experienced a lot of rejections, I call it bars, bows, left and right. What really changed for me was identifying myself with the right remote first and people first companies. What I mean by people first and remote companies, fully remote, is that most remote companies are not fully remote, like in all regions, but there are remote companies that are fully remote, and then there are people first with like a lot of benefits and perks. Even if you are in Africa, you're in Nigeria, you're in Kenya, you're in Zimbabwe, they have lots of opportunities and perks and benefits for you as well. So follow this company website. I can give like a few. Deal is a company that hire Africans. There's Deal, there's Remote, there's cheaper, there's cheaper, no, there's Pipa, then there is Status, there is Buffer, there is Test Gorilla. So there are lots of remote companies. You can find them out like in the job board, intuitiveremote.com. We have like a lot of remote companies like in our dashboard. There are another step that you can use is freelance platform. So I think we're all familiar with Upwork, we're familiar with like freelancer. These are where you can also submit your application. Then we also have like remote work events and conferences. So, webinars like this, webinars like, teaching about remote work. You can also find people, like I mentioned before, that are hiring, founders that are looking for, amazing global talent. Then another thing is connecting with remote work agency and recruiters. So LinkedIn, like one of my best social media out there, is one of the ways you can also connect with these recruiters. There are lots of recruiters out there. On LinkedIn that are hiring, constantly looking for global talent. And also another juicy tea is that this season is like the hiring, poaching season. So it's an opportunity for you to get your profile out there, looking neat and looking outstanding, so that these recruiters can come to you and poach you for opportunities. Then another and the last one is skill-based platform. So I think there are a lot of skill-based platforms that provide expertise where to provide dashboard or platform where you can actually put in your expertise. I think, and one I would recommend is Well Found, which is like Angel List before. So it's a LinkedIn. It's like a kind of LinkedIn kind of platform where you can build your profile, offer your expertise, as well as apply for jobs. So when you see a job, you just send in a short cover letter and then they reach out to you. So these are like platforms where you can submit your application and get those opportunities.
Amazing. That is so good. I like the fact that you also called out actual companies that are hiring that people can actually right now go and Google and check out. But definitely, team, like I've gone on Inclusively Remote to and all the jobs there, at the very least, that they will hire from Africa, because like Mary said, not every remote is remote. Some remotes are like remote US, remote UK, but there's some remote companies that are remote worldwide, like Deal, Tesgarella, Remote, Oyster. Like so many companies fit that bill, and of course that's a really good place to start. But now let's come back to you, Andrea. So we talked about the application process, and of course there's a big debate out there that sometimes the applicant tracking system disqualifies people before it even gets to recruiters. And so there's so many people out there that are trying to teach people how to game like the ATS platforms. And is this true? Is it really are we getting kicked out of ATSs automatically because our CVs don't look nice? Or what is the situation there?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I've seen so many LinkedIn posts talking about this recently. I think the confusion comes in perhaps with the questions that's related to the application. So, when you click on the careers page and you go onto the job advert, you upload your application and they have questions. Some of those have triggers to automatically reject. And I think that's why people think it's linked to the keywords on your resume, which is not the truth. It's still, once they pass that process, someone still sits there manually reviewing all those resumes. That's a human. That's not AI. But you know what? I think resumes right now, they are as important as first impressions. You have a couple of minutes to convince the reader to take a closer look. But what you do after this is the difficult part, because that is where you have to give context to the claims and statements that you made on your resume.
That it's good to know that there's not some evil hand somewhere, just like, picking our resumes by the dozen and then dumping them in the trash. But obviously the idea here is that sometimes the question that you see on the ATS system, it might be a very crucial one for the company. And maybe that specific answer, if it's a yes or no, triggers a rejection. And that just simply means that this company is not the one. It's not because the recruiter is being like flippant with the application or anything like that. Sometimes they just really want some specific or critical skill that you probably do not have, or experience that you probably do not have. So yes, the ATS is not our enemy. But again, on resumes, you did mention that resumes are now as important as a first impression, right? And so is there any one or two tips that you probably have for making a resume punchy, like making sure that the resume stands out or catches the recruiter's eye?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing at the moment, especially if you're going to be applying remotely, remove anything that could lead to biases, date of birth, marital status. I wouldn't even recommend putting a photo on. If they really want to see what you look like, they can see you when you're interviewing or when they look at your LinkedIn when you connect with them. Address, steer clear of religion and political views on your resume. But I think in terms of making it punchy, an easy to read resume is really something that has clear, concise examples of your skill set, and then mimicking keywords and language from the job advert. When a recruiter reviews your resume, they're going to look for terms that they know. And it just makes it a little bit quicker because they pick up on it when they review everything. Mention your accomplishments. And then a big one is proofreading. Ensure that you have the correct information and that it's error-free. I cannot tell you how many candidates I would like to contact that doesn't have an email address or contact information, incorrect contact information. So, back to basics.
That is so good. I really like that. On making sure that your resume is readable. I read something on LinkedIn this week about how something as simple as using bullet points in your resume can be so good because it tells people, okay, this is a new point. That's a very good thing. And like the second thing that I want to talk about now that I've had some experience in the hiring thing from like a company is that recruiters are working with so many hiring managers at the same time in their internal company. So remember, the head of product wants to hire a product manager. The head of marketing is hiring a growth marketer. The head of sales, head of engineering, everyone is hiring somebody. And these recruiters are not product managers. So they've read the JD that the head of product gave them, which means that that is the context with which they are judging your resume. And so if you're not using the keywords that are on that JD, and this person now has to go and Google and see if what you're saying is similar to what is on the JD, that already is giving them more friction. And you know that more friction means you don't get a buyer. I mean, this is a sales thing that I know from sales, but basically, imagine if you wanted to buy Instagram and for you to pay for like Instagram, you needed to sit in like a 15-minute call or go and Google something before you can hit click. That friction alone can make you not buy it. It's the same thing for recruiters. You're selling skills, they're buying skills. Show them that the skills are what they're looking for so that they can basically move you through the process, because recruiters really want you to get the job. Honestly, they want this job to be filled as quickly as possible. Thank you so much for that. I think that's really, really great. Now, under Mary-Esther, I want to come to you about LinkedIn profiles. Joel has mentioned mass marketing is important. Andrea has mentioned if I want to see more about you, I will go to your LinkedIn. It means that LinkedIn is very important. It's run through this conversation. how, first of all, why is it so important that we make sure that we're online and creating some kind of presence? But also, what are some good steps to make sure that our LinkedIn is looking hireable?
Thank you so much for that. Yes. So there's something I always say or tell people is that LinkedIn is like your digital resume to the world. So it's like what tells people about you globally. And one thing about LinkedIn is that LinkedIn has the potential to reach people that you won't even meet physically. So which is why it's very, very important to have like a good emphasis on good LinkedIn profile. And this also serves as your personal branding and everything. So the question is, how would you build a LinkedIn profile that attracts opportunities, right? So I'm going to give like no detailed steps like how to do that. The first thing you need to understand is create a LinkedIn profile. Use like your name that's also in your resume as well, and also have like a good professional picture. Which this I cannot like overemphasize. Most people come on LinkedIn, their headshots is probably ones on Snapchat on filters. No, it's good, but you look very cute, but it's not professional, and you don't want to like give someone another impression of you. So ensure that your headshot, your profile picture is very, very professional or semi-professional. Then your headline is very, very important. So your headline serve as a kind of um it's called some kind of a search tool, where if recruiters are searching for probably product managers or probably technical writer, those are the things that will show up. So ensure that your headline is the first words is probably what you're looking for. For example, if you're transitioning to product management, you can say, okay, product management, then data analysis, then probably any other things that you do, and then probably what you have done, like kind of achievement. For example, how I did mine was I called myself, career people and remote work, then career specialist, then stroke helped over 20 plus 50 plus people get remote opportunities. Now these are figures, right? Then next was advocate for SDG 8. So now I have described myself, I've given a glimpse of what I can do, my achievements and my impact as well. Now go under to your about section. So people think about section is just, okay, let me just copy my resume profile summary into my about section. But about section puts in a personalized side of you, meaning that it tells a story. Who are you on LinkedIn? Then who are you outside LinkedIn as well? So let that about section tell your story. You can even use that as a means of saying, oh, I came from a sales background, but now I'm transitioning into product management. These are my skills, these are where I've worked, these are my certifications as well. Then your profile, like your professional experiences, ensure that you add bullet points, show your impact in your work, and then your certifications, and then networking. So networking is how do you find the right people to network? There's this keyword filter on LinkedIn that you can use. You can probably search recruiter of XYZ company and then list out all the recruiters, then can you connect with them. So you could use that as a tool of networking with people. But another way to build like an authentic brand on LinkedIn is also sharing your story and also like bringing impact. So there's something I always tell people that there are 3 types of people on LinkedIn, to my own knowledge. There is people that come on LinkedIn to build their brand as a job seeker. There are people that come on LinkedIn to build their brand as an influencer. Then there are those that come on LinkedIn to build their brand as a brand authority. So my best option I would tell anyone to go for is building your brand as a brand authority, because when you do that, you get the benefit of those 2 other options. Because when you put yourself out there as a brand authority, you get opportunities, you are seen as a thought leader, stroke influencer in that particular field. For example, like I started building my brand authority intentionally. Let me use that word, intentionally. I'm very being very calculative about it last year. And since last year, I've got like a lot of speaking opportunities about remote work, about African space, about career coaching. That was because I actually was very calculative on how like I branded myself on LinkedIn. And that's what branding does to you. Branding opens doors for you. And as a African, as a non-tech going to the remote workspace, like I said before, I had lots of rejections. And just to give like a very short story because of my time, I was job seeking from 2020 to 2021, and till that whole period I had like bad both rejection. And one particular rejection that made me stop applying for a job was when I got to the final stage. I know that was like I think the last stage was like a 5 minute call with like the director. And you know what can go on with a 5 minute call, right? Just like, okay, come in, these are the modalities of the whole job. But before, it was by 4:25 p.m. I can't forget that date, guys. That was November 17th, 2021. Yeah, it was 2021. So 5 minutes before the call, I got a message. It was like, "Hi Mary, we noticed that you are based in Nigeria. We can't move on with the call. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for applying." And then that was it. And I got like a lot. I was depressed. Like I cried for like 2 days because like, you know, why me opportunity? I'm so good at this. She was a HR, by the way, and I'm like, finally, I thought I was going to get remote opportunities, and then and this was what's happened to me. So I told myself, you know, I'm going to just brand myself. I'm going to let opportunities come to me than me applying for opportunities. And my focus was on LinkedIn. So December, I rebranded myself on LinkedIn, started talking about remote work, and then I started sharing about my knowledge of remote work. Like I mentioned before, like when I was introducing myself, I have like a legal educational background. So I know most about compliance stuff in employment. So I use that. And then I've worked like in KPMG and Deloitte as like under the HR team. So these knowledges, I put them together. And then one particular post I posted in January was employment law and remote work. And then that post had like 10 likes. But you know, something happened in February, and I got lots of emails in February. I got lots of emails asking for opportunities. People were no, I felt like a star, man. They're trying to come and poach me. And one particular opportunity that stood out to me was one founder. She was like, "Hi Mary." She copied my link. I was like, I came across this post on my feed and I really love this post. Currently I'm hiring for a part-time role in EMEA region, and I love your expertise. I'd love to have a call with you. And yes, I got that role, but fortunately for me, I was laid off along the way because of compliance issues. But yeah, I think the baseline of what I'm trying to say is LinkedIn helps with your visibility and also your credibility, because there is a global talent out there, and there's people that are better than you, better than us. And LinkedIn serves as a way of pronouncing your skills to the world that this is who I am. I'm amazing at these skills. Give me a shot. Because when it comes down to Africa, let me tell you guys the truth, right? There is a barrier, and to cross that barrier, you need to show the world that you are worth the shot. And like I said, LinkedIn is a way of showing that you are worth the shot, because if not, no one can see you, no one can see your resume, because before they even look at your resume, they're looking at someone that went to Harvard, that is in the United States and that's in the same region with them. So LinkedIn, it serves as, you know, what they can see and what they can vet, because I always tell people perceived value is actually better than actual value. So yes.
That's a very good way to sort of bring us to the final part of this panel. But I do want to iterate on the fact that you know, in sales they say people buy from people, and the same applies to like hiring. People really hire. It's like these days, if you want to buy something from like an Instagram shop, you want to see which of your friends have used it, so that you can also like trust that they've done it. It's the same if you want to buy from Amazon, or you want to go to a restaurant. You check how many stars other people have given that restaurant, and that is sort of what you see. If people have perceived value, other people are interacting with them on LinkedIn, people seem to be like a good bet, that's when people will take a chance on you. And so we need to make sure that our resumes and our LinkedIn are giving us a good calling card out there, so that when people want to take a chance on us, we don't seem to be too risky. Thank you both so much for that. And now I want to take your closing like comments. What is at least one or two takeaways that people must remember if they forgot anything in this conversation, on how they can obviously ace recruitment and online positioning? Go ahead, Andrea.
Okay, perfect. So I think for me in a remote context, there's this concept called multi-threading, which is developing relationships with multiple stakeholders or decision makers. The way that you can probably go about something like this is interacting with the company, find them on LinkedIn, see, identify your decision maker, start talking to them, start the conversation. With remote work, these opportunities for connections are really limited. So it's up to you to create them. Don't be afraid to talk to a person that's going to be potentially your hiring manager, you want to make sure that you can get along with that person. You're going to be working very closely together. And then the second one for me is, in the context of this job market right now, it is an employer's market, which means there are more candidates looking than companies hiring. So be reactive. There are many applicant tracking systems that integrate with job boards. So when a job advert goes live on the careers page, it automatically sends it to those job boards. So an example of this is LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, CareerJet. And the way that you can potentially find it is go onto the careers page. Sometimes you will see it says they're supported via Workable or Breezy HR or something like that. See if you can find the ATS name, and then just do a quick Google search and see which free job boards does this ATS integrate with. So then you know where more or less you need to keep an eye on.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. So keep your eye on the right job boards and be reactive, but also know that like it's a employer's market, so you need to give them a reason to pick you over everybody else out there. Mary, what are your 2 tips that we can close with for people?
Okay, this is very good. I think my first tip I would say is tailored application. So whenever you're applying for opportunities, ensure that you tailor your application to the job you're applying for. And I think Jerry also mentioned this in his section where he mentioned that, read out the job description, the skill qualification. Very important for you to read job JDs, for you to understand that, okay, I need to tailor my resume to this particular job, because that is what the recruiter is going to read out. That's what they're going to actually vet for. And it's something I always tell people, because I've been in the hiring space myself. I've helped companies to recruit. And this is a tip, right? When they give me a job JD, like there's a section, there's a recruiter's call. That's like the first call you have. I don't really have an idea of what a product manager really does. I just have like the surface idea. Okay, they're meant to have this particular skill, meant to know Agile, they're meant to have like Notion. I know it's like basic stuff, right? So, and then I also have like basic skills they're meant to have, which I've seen in the job description. When I'm interviewing, or when I'm seeing your resume, what I'm doing is I'm trying to match, I'm trying to like mirror. It's called mirroring. So if I see probably you don't have a particular skill which they have said is very important, or particular, tools, probably you might not, get through that, through that screening process. So ensure that you tailor your resume to the job, and then also ensure that you showcase more of soft skills. And I think this is towards remote opportunity, because I'm in the remote workspace. So soft skills are really important, because during the interviews, that is what is going to showcase you as a perfect candidate. Because we have people that have a lot of amazing expertise, but what people are looking for is cultural fit. Can this person really work in this team? Can they work in this unit? Do they have the share vision with, or do they have like emotional intelligence to work remote teams? Do they have flexibility? Can they adapt? Basically, these are soft skills that you need to showcase in your interviews, in your resume. Tell them that, okay, you have problem solving skills. And to be honest, right, there is no 100% qualified candidate. There's no 100% qualified candidate. So even if you're 75, 65, give it that shot, but ensure that you're showcasing your soft skills as well.
Perfect. There's no 100% candidate. And so no matter where you are, make sure that you're showcasing the best parts of yourself so that you can at least go through the process. Thank you both so much.